Literary cliches. The good guy always wins. From the first stories we are told, to all the colorful content made for our youth, it has been the go-to trope for many decades, possibly since the inception of the ideas of stories themselves, and it is especially pervasive in children's stories. It is the fact that the good guy always wins. This gives us a measure of comfort that with perseverance, no matter the obstacles, no matter what the baddie does, the good guy always wins in the end. And it's not an especially negative ideal to believe in, that hard work is worth it in the end. But we know that this isn't true. Just look at any horror movie. In that genre, it seems to be the exact opposite, but those clearly aren't marketed for children. That is the distinction. It is comforting that our core ideals, our values, our way of life will win out in the end. And that is the crux of the trope. Our way, not yours. As subtle as the division is, it is there. And yes, it is divisive to a certain extent. It is not really that is the cause of the problems. In some specific cases, division can be useful. You need your kids to appreciate that some people don't have their best interests in mind. That some people just aren't the type you want to hang out with. But what it really comes down to is this: the winner writes the history books, and no one ever thinks of themselves as the villain. Not if they are in the least bit stable, at least. It is seen as a triumph, especially if it appears that the odds were stacked against one's own group. A story that we tell to our kids, even if it's not a parable, is usually associated with a lesson of some sort. And even if a lesson is not intended, we take something from everything we encounter, constantly assimilating the known world in our unconscious attempt to know all that is knowable. A great nuanced villain, to a slightly more advanced palate at least, is one that we can look into and look at and see, if not for the grace of God, should you believe in that, you could be there. If the bad guy is truly one-dimensional, the audience doesn't appreciate the story all that much, unless it is for the coming generation. Nuance is a great way to introduce deeper thought when one is ready. Too bad we are not all ready for such nuance in any great quantity. It is not marketable to the masses at this point. Some are just not ready for it, and some may even feel insulted by the insinuation of lack of intelligence, even though that is in no way the way people look at it. And so we do not see nuance all that much in mainstream media. It is the simplest of tropes, and it lives on and on and on, even when it should give way to a more nuanced approach. Do not get me wrong, it is especially useful and cannot be underestimated in the case for children. Especially for children that can't understand, let alone appreciate nuance. It is more than appropriate. We can and should teach our kids with stories, but those lessons do have to change and adapt with age, and in some cases, we need to reevaluate the lessons as we are introduced to different, new ideas and points of view, because we as adults understand more. While a child can grasp what goes up must come down, but not really wrap their head around the idea that the attraction of two or more bodies is proportional to the mass and indirectly related to distance, or even that gravity also appears to be the origin of time. But that is far beyond the scope of this. So far beyond, in fact, that most are scratching their heads wondering if I am off my rocker. All are correct and useful to a certain extent, but in some cases, one may be more useful than the other. As with all tropes, it came about for a reason, and it is important in its own way. but we have to appreciate its obverse, that sometimes things just happen, and luck is more important than we want to believe, or not. If possible, we need to introduce some nuance to our stories. If not, we need to appreciate the nuance in others, and hopefully nuance will become more marketable as we all start to understand truly and deeply nuance in all its forms. But keep in mind, simple is sometimes needed. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more great content. Leave a comment, concern, bitch, gripe, complaint, or idea for another analysis below. And don't forget to have a great day, and don't party too hard.